Welcome back to the channel. This is the IPP Education Hub. If you are experiencing ED and you are considering an IPP implant for yourself, or maybe you're partnering somebody who's going through the IPP procedure process and you have questions about the journey, then you've come to the right place. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about sleep and what it's like to get a restful night of sleep after getting an IPP implant. Now, in my personal experience, I will say that immediately after getting the implant, I had some pretty long nights that were not full of much sleep, and I was up throughout the night, and I experienced a lot of pain in those first few weeks. I started to experiment with a few different sleeping techniques and patterns to try to sleep better. And a few of the tips that I came across, I'm going to share with you today. The first thing that I realized was helping me was when I put pillows on either side of my legs, because that allowed for my legs to kind of flow outwards, which allowed for just a lot more comfort within my midsection and where my IPP was implanted. Now, I'm not much of a back sleeper, and it took a while to get used to sleeping on my back, but once I was able to do that with the pillows on each side, I felt much more comfortable, and I noticed that I was able to start getting more sleep at that time. In addition, there's a little hack out there that's in the IPP community that I'll share with you right now, which is to consider wearing a baby sock over your penis immediately after getting your IPP surgery. Your penis is going to rub up against everything, your pants, your boxers, your blanket when you're sleeping, your sheets, whatever it is. And you're going to be so sensitive that every little thing will likely be uncomfortable. And a lot of people in the IPP community have suggested to use a small sock on top of your penis, which will then help protect you from a lot of those moments. At first, I thought that the baby sock wouldn't help, and how much help could it really matter? But once I started doing it, I realized how big of a change that made for me. And it's certainly something that I recommend and found to be one of the really helpful hacks that helped me in my recovery process, especially when I was sleeping at nighttime. Another element that was causing me to not get a great night of rest after getting my IPP surgery is that even though you're no longer able to get natural erections after getting the surgery, you still will experience moments of arousal, which is going to cause increased blood flow in your penis. Now, this is a totally normal part of bodily function and response, but when you've just had a surgery that is as intense as the IPP surgery, that nighttime arousal for myself was something that was very uncomfortable. And so even nights that I was able to sleep on my back, have my legs spread, have the baby sock comfortably on, even when I finally got to sleep, I would have those moments of arousal that would result in me waking up and being in pain again. The good news, the pain doesn't last forever, and now that I'm on this side of it, I can absolutely say that it was worth it having to go through the process and finally being able to be where I'm at now. While I've mentioned in other videos that it was about the 5-month mark before I started to finally feel much better with my IPP, I would say that it was probably about the 2 to 3 month mark where I finally was able to get better sleep again, and I felt like that was an important part of the process. The good news is now I can sleep on my side, I can sleep on my stomach, which I don't recommend and I don't do that very often, but these are moments and instances that for a while did not feel comfortable at all, but now I'm happy to report that for me, they feel much, much better. Immediately after getting the IPP surgery, I couldn't even lay on my stomach because anything that touched my penis was incredibly painful. But that is no longer an issue, and so it doesn't affect me whether I'm doing yoga, which is something I do a lot of, or if I'm sleeping at night and I happen to roll onto my stomach and I find myself there as I get comfortable, and luckily it no longer hurts. These days, I would say that the implant at nighttime when I'm sleeping feels very normal. I still have that nighttime arousal, but it is sort of a moment that just reminds me how my body works now. And at the end of the day, I'd have no problem with it. So if you're somebody that is considering the IPP procedure and you need a couple of tips to get you through it, keep these in mind. That first month, consider sleeping on your back and using pillows as support as a way for you to get comfortable and be more relaxed at nighttime. Also, even though it might sound a little bit odd, consider getting baby socks and placing those over your penis, and that will help prevent any sort of discomfort that's going to occur from accidentally rubbing it against something or hitting it all over the place, which might happen once you get an IPP. A third tip is going to be that you keep up with your pain meds and your anti-inflammatories as prescribed by your medical professional, but that's not what we talk about on this channel. So just keep in touch with your doctor and they'll tell you what to do. So while it may be one of the less thought about elements, a lot of times men do ask me, what is it like to sleep when you have an IPP? In my own personal experience, I'll say that the first few months were probably some of the worst nights of sleep that I ever had in my life. But I will say that I knew what I had signed up for, and every single night that I asked myself, is this worth it? I just kept reminding myself that there was no going back. And the good news is that as time went on, as my body recovered, as I became more used to the implant and sort of how my body was adjusting, that now I am sleeping normally. I have no issues. And if anything, what I do feel at night, sort of that nighttime arousal, it's a good feeling, and it's not something that I feel like affects me in any sort of negative way. So if you are considering an IPP, or maybe you recently did the IPP and now you're struggling with sleep and that's how you came across this video, try to keep in mind that there is relief at the end of the tunnel, or whatever that saying is, and that if you just keep going and if you just keep doing the things to heal your body, love your body, give your body the love and compassion and kindness that it needs during this really vital time of recovery where you just had a major surgery on your anatomy, a very vital part of your body. Give yourself the time and patience to recover from that, and know that if it's disrupting your sleep, then that's pretty normal. But there are things that you can do to put in place that can lead to a better night of rest. And if you're going through it, then what you're experiencing right now is only temporary. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so that you are in the loop every single time that we put out a new video here on the IPP Education Hub. As always, be kind to yourself and be kind to others.